Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Ho Vishwabhatmana Mahansa Vribraya Gacharya Stotra. His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Nitai Gauda Premanandi. Thank you for doing that. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we're reading Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, status quo, chapter 23. Where are we? Devahuti's Lamentation, text number 8. Anye punar bhagavato bhruva udri jimba. Anye punar bhagavato bhruva udri jimba. Vibram siddhartha rachana kim uru kramasya. Bhivam risarthartha rachana kim uru kramasya. Siddhasi vungshva vivavan nijadharmadohan. Siddhasi vungshva vivavan nijadharmadohan. Divyam narair digham nripa bhikriyavi. Divyam narair digham nripa bhikriyavi. Anye punar bhagavato vruva udijrimba. Bhivaram siddhartha rachana kim uru kramasya. Siddhasi vungshva vivavan nijadharmadohan. Divyam narair digam nripavikriyavi. Devotees, Siddham sivusha vivavam nijadharmadohan. Divyam naraduradikam. Anye punar bhagavato bhruva udrijimbra. Bhivam siddhartha rachana kimuru kramasya. Divam naradudadigam nripabhikriyavi. Ladies, Vaishnavis. Bhagavato Bruva Uchimba. Kimuro Kramasya. Near others, Punaha, again, Bhagavataha, of the Lord, Bhruva, of the eyebrows, Udijilimba, by the movement, Bibramshita, annihilated, Ardharachanaha, material achievements, Kim, what? What use? Urukramasya, of Lord Vishnu, far stepping, Siddha, successful, Asi, you are, Bungshwe, enjoy, Bivavan, the gifts, Nijadharma, by your own principles of devotion, Dohan, gain, Divyan, transcendental, Naraihi, by persons, Duradigan, difficult to obtain, Nripabrikiyavihi, proud of aristocracy. Translation. Kardama Muni continued, what is the use of enjoyments other than the Lord's grace? All material achievements are subject to be annihilated simply by a movement of the eyebrows of Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By your principles of devotion to your husband, you have achieved and can enjoy transcendental gifts, very rarely obtained by persons proud of aristocracy and material possessions. Please repeat. Kardama Muni continued. What is the use of enjoyments other than the Lord's grace? All material achievements are subject to the annihilated, to be annihilated simply by a movement of the eyebrows of Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By your principles of devotion to your husband, you have achieved and can enjoy transcendental gifts, very rarely obtained by persons proud of aristocracy and material possessions. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Lord Chaitanya recommended that the greatest achievement of human life is to achieve the grace of the Lord, love of God. He said, Prema Pumartha Mahan. To achieve love of Godhead is the highest perfection of life. The same perfection is recommended by Kardama Muni to his wife. His wife belonged to a very aristocratic royal family. Generally, those who are very materialistic or who possess material wealth and prosperity are unable to appreciate the value of transcendental love of God. Although Devahuti was a princess coming from a very great royal family, fortunately, she was under the supervision of her great husband, Kardama Muni, who offered her the best gift which can be bestowed in human life, the grace of the Lord, or love of God. This grace of the Lord was achieved by Devahuti by the goodwill and satisfaction of her husband. She served her husband, who was a great devotee and saintly person, with great sincerity, love, affection, and service. And Kardama Muni was satisfied. He willingly gave love of God, and he recommended that she accept it and enjoy it because he had already achieved it. Love of God is not an ordinary commodity. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was worshipped by Rupa Goswami because he distributed love of God, Krishna Prema, to everyone. Rupa Goswami praised him as Mahavadanyaya, a greatly magnificent personality, because he was freely distributing to everyone love of Godhead, which is achieved by wise men only after many, many births. Krishna Prema, Krishna consciousness, is the highest gift which can be bestowed on anyone whom we presume to love. One word used in this verse, Nija Dharma Dohan, is very significant. Devahuti, as the wife of Kardama Muni, achieved an invaluable gift from her husband because she was very faithful to him. For a woman, the first principle of religion is to be faithful to her husband. If fortunately the husband is a great personality, then the combination is perfect, and the lives of both the wife and the husband are at once fulfilled. Om Gyanati Mirandasya Janjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Pasityadesh-darine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvyaivacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha. So, reading from 3rd Canto, chapter 23, text number 8. In the very beginning of this movement, there was a very special incident that, as we generally say, there's no coincidence and there's no accident. Everything happens for a reason. But what happened is that Srila Prabhupada was sharing his residence, his quarters, with one of his initial followers. I forgot the name, wasn't initiated. Carl was his name? Anyway, this fellow, he was taking drugs. He was taking LSD and other things. And so one day he had what we could say a drug-induced psychosis. And he started shouting, "I am God," and doing different things. I heard different versions of the incident. But some people say there was a knife involved and that he jumped up and down and he went and started waving his arms in front of Prabhupada and running like crazy in the room. So Prabhupada immediately ran for the hills, as they say. He just took off immediately. And he went to those few people that he knew. One of them was Mukunda Maharaj. And I believe I read in his Miracle on 2nd Avenue that Srila Prabhupada was throwing some gravel, right? He was throwing stones like that. And then eventually Mukunda Maharaj and his then wife noticed and asked Prabhupada to come, and Prabhupada said, "I don't have a place to stay." So that was the beginning of a situation, a change in Prabhupada's trying to settling in the midst of New York and in the midst of the hippie movement. And what happened after a few days, and you can find some incredible photos, eventually the devotees found a storefront, and that storefront was called Matchless Gift, right? Matchless Gift. And there are some photos, I think it's in the Hare Krishna Explosion, which is the recollection of Hayagriva Prabhu's memories of what happened then. So many biographies now we find of that And then you can see there is a line, and devotees are carrying Prabhupada's belongings. So nice, just like, like when kids are helping out and they're carrying, so Prabhupada is there, very regal. And all the devotees are carrying different things, you can see. So such a cute scene. You can see their faces, and I was thinking, what would they be thinking? So finally Prabhupada settled in this storefront, Matchless Gift. It was painted there. I think there was also some discussion about maybe changing the name or something like that, but Prabhupada, don't bother, just leave that there. So Matchless Gift. Now there's a book called Matchless Gift, and so many references to that. So here, in this verse, the Matchless Gift is mentioned. Prabhupada says there's one word, although it's a triple word. What's that word? Who remembers? Some of you have it. Nija Dharma Dohan. The third line, the three last words. Nija Dharma Dohan. So this gift, or this matchless gift, as Krishna had arranged for Srila Prabhupada's storefront to be called, is what we're talking about. And there are many interesting words. You're very expert in pronouncing the Sanskrit. I always struggle with Sanskrit. I think I told this when I joined, and my seniors will encourage me to repeat Sanskrit. I said, I can't do it. Sometimes we get blocked, no? Sometimes some of us, Sanskrit is just like a traumatic experience. And one devotee told me, this is like running down the sand dunes. Have you run down the sand dunes? Right? In Western Australia, in Perth, we have lots of sand dunes. So it's a regular practice. So you go there, and I remember with my kids, that was the thing. So we'll just go, and surely some of us will fall. If not all of them, all of us, somebody, and then we will laugh and like that. So sometimes Sanskrit is like that. So you just do it, you just do it. Even if you trip, just do it. However, the purpose, and interestingly, Prabhupada sometimes when he asks his Western devotees to pronounce Sanskrit, he will laugh out loud. So it's not that Prabhupada put the Sanskrit there to have fun of us Westerners. I think it was Jadubar Prabhu, Prabhupada disciple, famous, because he was the main filmer, right? Filmmaker. And he had put together different documentaries and clips, and also the movie. I forgot now what the name. I think the title was changed a few times. Hare Krishna, the movie, or something like that, right? The Swami and the history or something. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I think I had different names, but I remember when we went to Alachua, and the devotees told me, "Oh, it's going to be the premiere, so the movie is coming out." So I said, "Okay, right." So I was there with my sister and my mother and my son, so a whole crew. So we went to the movies, we went to the cinema, and I was amazed. The whole car park was full of devotees, and there was Balavanta, the famous Balavanta Prabhupada disciple, GVC at some point, and other Prabhupada disciples. I forgot now. It was like celebrities. When these premieres happen, and there's the red carpet and the paparazzis are there. And I was like, starstruck. I never have seen some of them. And then they would say, "Oh, this is that one, and that's his wife, and this is that one." And I was like, almost going up to them to get an autograph or something like that. And then, anyway, my mother and my sister, they were tagging along with us. So many devotees there. Many Latin devotees are there in Florida. So, in conclusion, the whole cinema was filled up with devotees. It was incredible. Imagine you go to one of these cinemas, and generally those places are empty. It was packed with devotees. So there it was. What's it called? The mantra, right? You see, I think that the name could have been tweaked a little, so stick. So yeah, you can see there, very interestingly, how Prabhupada was struggling right in the beginning. And there's this black and white thing, scenes, and there's these interviews, and I remember at the end of the movie, my mother, who was very against me joining, I was the eldest of 4, and I was at uni and all that, and she had all the expectations on me, bought me a brand new Toyota Hilux. Had just come out that year, I think, 81 or something. And she was very against me joining, and for years she had this attitude, very negative attitude. At the end of the movie, she was really moved by Prabhupada's story, that he had struggled so much, and here is this old man, nearly 80 years old or so, 70 years old, right? At that time when he arrived, and then, the last scenes of that movie, there are different parts of the world presented there, and the common thing is that there are many young people chanting and dancing and singing in all these kirtan melas and different parts of the world. It's just like a festival of joy, like that. So I think that for her, later on we were discussing, was the fact that Prabhupada was such a powerful person that just like a magnet attracted everyone. Everyone was happily following him, just like when things started in 1966. But the question is, especially for us who are trying to practice, trying to follow Prabhupada, is what is this matchless gift? What is this gift that in this instance, in this verse, Karama Muni is giving to his wife, to Devahuti? Right? It's very important. This is a wonderful, I heard a couple of classes, one by Harivilas Prabhu, Prabhupada disciple, and he was there. He was there in those times. He was one of the pioneers. I think he started in France with Bhagavan Prabhu and Tamal Krishna Maharaj. So the essence of this purport is that Srila Prabhupada is presenting what he came to give. Because if you happen to be, and I had the opportunity to go to the matchless gift and be standing there, and it's a small, tiny kind of room, a storefront in New York. And I was standing there with my son, and we were not saying much, but I know that in his mind, we were just reeling all the thoughts and memories and things that we have heard and all those clips that one may have seen. It's happened right there. Prabhupada walking in and out, and the devotees, that famous one when Brahmananda Prabhu and the others are going on Harinam, and somebody's carrying a big I don't know how you call those big ones for the orchestra, you go parades, yeah? Cymbals, but gigantic, They have a drum, it's like a movie, right? Like you have to pay people to, this is a transcendental movie, and Prabhupada was directing everything like that, so nice. And then you see other scenes of that time, and the devotees dancing and all that, yeah? So the question is, if we are entering into this magnificent storefront, and you see matchless gift, the question is, what is the matchless gift, right? What is that these people are advertising? Right? So Prabhupada explains the matchless gift in this purport. Very interesting. Of course, we are always limited by time. This is the age, the era of no time. But a few interesting words And for those of us who are limited in our Sanskrit pronunciation and remembering and understanding, I always use the technique of one word. Prabhupada used the one word. At least remember one word, right? So in all of the verses that we read, at least let's try to identify some words that are easy or that are usually repeated in the Shastra, right? And interestingly, the first word of this verse is anye. And I had prepared a whole thing about some of the words. So when I came, as always Krishna plays some trick, I was perplexed because it was a different verse. So then I realized somebody had committed a mistake and written the verse for next Monday, not this Monday. But anyway, so Prabhu kindly wrote it all again. Otherwise, it would have ruined my little preparation here. So the first word is anye. And anye means, like it's translated here, others. And when Rupa Goswami defined pure devotional service, the main verse that he uses, and Srila Prabhupada uses that in the Nectar of Devotion, it's anya vilasita sunyam. And anya means others, right? And it's kind of in the same context that Karama Muni is using that word. Anye punara bhagavato bruva udrijimba. What is the use? What is the point of other things, of other enjoyments, we may say, of other desires? Anya vilasita sunyam. Any other desire we have to eradicate. Anya vilasitam. If we want the matchless gift, that's the matchless gift. We have to give up all the other gifts, shall we say. This is matchless. What does matchless mean? Cannot be compared. That's what matchless means, right? That's the literal definition of it, matchless. So anye is a very important word. So we can sort of take certain words, if not the whole thing. I don't know if anybody is what's called a Srutidara. Srutidara in the old days, meaning really old days or ages, you wouldn't have to even memorize things or repeat things to remember, right? What generally happens, at least in my case, every time I hear the class, after maybe 15, 20 minutes, it's a struggle to remember what was the class about, right? So, at least we can remember certain words and identify certain concepts that are encapsulated in these words. For example, in the first line, as I said, anye, that's easy, in the context of the pure gift that Srila Prabhupada came to give us. In the second line, Vibram Siddhartha. Vibram Siddhartha. The word is artha. It's the first line, it's quite a long word, artha. Artha is one of the 4 objectives of the Vedic path. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. That should be known for all the practitioners. Artha. Artha is a very interesting word. Very interesting word because we all are after artha. Everybody does something because of some result. Is that true? Everything that we do is because we want to achieve something. We work because we're going to get paid, right? Simple as that. That's just something that comes to mind because artha is generally translated as economic development, right? That's the common definition. Dharma, religiosity, artha, economic development, right? But it's not only that. There's more than that. It's what you want to achieve, like in chapter 8, Bhagavad Gita, attaining the Supreme. That's the artha. You're attaining that. You're catching that fruit, artha. So Prabhupada begins this wonderful purport saying that Lord Chaitanya recommended that the greatest achievement of human life is to achieve the grace of the Lord love of God. Right? So Prabhupada is defining from the first line of this purport. This is what we're talking about. This is our goal. This is our aim. Pure love of God. That's what he came to give. And that is the matchless gift. Something that, according to the Vedic scriptures, according to the Bhakti scriptures, there's nothing else that compares to that. And basically, this concept is the topic of the Nectar of Devotion. Now, in the Bhakti Shastri course, we are ending the sections that we have to cover. And yesterday we had a very interesting festival. The devotees were giving exams, and the exam was different. They had to prepare PPT presentations or PowerPoint presentations, and somebody presented a game or a competition, and like that. So it was very interesting. And something that struck me is that three devotees repeated the same chapter. Different chapters, you could choose your chapter. And each one gave a different presentation about it. And it was relishing. The three of those, quoting the same verse, referring to the same pastime, and all of them was like fresh. It's like new, right? Because everyone gives its own flavor to it. Why? Because this matchless gift, pure love of Godhead, is not different from Krishna, basically. Krishna says in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, he's talking to Uddhava, I'm not different from devotional service. So when you do devotional service in the pure consciousness, with pure consciousness, you are experiencing Krishna. Simple as that. And that's why we are here after so many years. Some of you, decades, if we start making numbers, there is a few hundreds of years of practice if we put everyone's time in the movement together. Would that be a right calculation? Yeah? A few hundreds, like that. Prabhupada disciples have, 50 years or so, and others, you add bits and pieces, and then we have a few hundreds of years of practice, trying to grab that fruit. This is not the forbidden fruit. Like sometimes in the Bible it's mentioned, the forbidden fruit. This is an open fruit. This is a matchless fruit, the matchless gift that Prabhupada came to give us. So he begins defining that. As you can tell, not that I'm avoiding, but I purposely didn't want to get into the social aspect of, okay, the wife has to do this and follow the husband almost blindly or something like that. I chose not to go that path because there's a lot of verses quite similar throughout these chapters, and many devotees already explain that, and what is it, Mother Vaishnavi last week I heard, and then Mother Ramburu also was giving class on Friday, like that, and the different swamis and others have explained about that. So then I thought, let's not only talk, sometimes when we hear Bhagavatam classes, we get a lot of geographical information, yeah? Cosmological information, this planet, that planet, historical information, right? And sometimes philosophical. There are some things that make sense, some things don't make sense, so there's argument there. But the most important, and this I learned from my superiors, my spiritual master and others, the main thing of Srimad Bhagavatam is to get devotional information. What are those things related to bhakti that I can apply in my life? And that's why I said that this purport is a wonderful purport, because it defines that, One of our devotees, senior devotees, Virabahu Prabhu, is spiritual master in GVC. He's in LA, but he preaches in South America and other places. He always says that the purports can have titles. And I remember hearing from them from him that, and thinking, this is a wonderful, what name would I give to this purport? And that's what came to mind, the matchless gift, right? So after a few classes that I heard on this verse, and I thought, yes, and every one of the speakers, when I was hearing yesterday, around 3 classes or so, everyone came to the same point, that the gift that Prabhupada came to give us is the same gift that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give us. And it's the same gift that Krishna came to give to us, to everyone. And that we can find in the Bhagavad Gita. Now, this gift has certain characteristics, as Rupa Goswami explains in the Nectar of Devotion. Who's Bhakti Shastri here? You. Anyway, I don't want to ask. But one of the things that Prabhupada says in the purport is that this is something very rare. It's matchless, and we all often say it's free, right? Anybody can come and take it. Anybody can chant. Anybody can take prasadam. Anybody can take a book. Anybody can come and offer obeisance or a flower, or anybody can, is it? It's not restricted to anybody, is that correct? There's no sign that says, I mean, there's some signs, no dogs or something like that, maybe restricted for dogs. For obvious reasons, not that we have something against those animals, cute, whatever, but it's not restricted. And what is that famous line that we find in the, is it preface or introduction of the Nectar of Devotion? The principle of Lord Chaitanya is universal. The principle of Lord Chaitanya is universal. This is what Prabhupada is saying. He's summarizing what Rupa Goswami has presented. It's universal, but it's rare. How do you reconcile those two things? It's rare, right? Why is it rare? Some of you can help us. Why is it rare? Now let's make it a little interactive. Why? This is not $1 million question, not that I have, and not even if I would have it, I wouldn't give it. But why is devotional service rare? Prabhu? Most people are not interested. That's why it's rare. Yeah? Okay? It's rare for someone to be even interested. Yeah. Prabhu?
He wants to be careful to give
Correct.
himself.
Correct. What did we say earlier? We quoted Srimad Bhagavatam 11th canto. Devotional service is not different from Krishna. Krishna himself says, right? So, if he gives himself, you know what happens when Krishna gives himself to someone? You know what happens? You know what happens. You know what happens? He becomes control. He becomes the servant of the devotee. Where, in which religious institution this concept is presented like this? You tell me. Where we say, okay, you become a devotee and Krishna will serve you. Generally we say, you have to serve. You're a servant. Go and clean the floor properly. Write the correct verse up there, etc. You're a servant. But in this process, Krishna becomes your servant. That sounds heretic almost, is it? Right? But why I'm saying this? Not because it's Monday morning and I don't have to work or something like that. It's because Krishna himself says that. Right? And interestingly, coincidentally we may say, he uses the same word. What is it? Ananyas chintayanto mam. Is that 522 or something? Where is your Gita? Help me here. I think it's 522 if I'm not mistaken. Ananyas chintayanto mam. To those who worship me, who love me, adore me exclusively, I give them everything. Ananyas chintayanto mam. Those who are thinking all the time about me, those who are fixated, I wouldn't say obsessed. One time somebody told Prabhupada, they say we are fanatics. And sometimes Prabhupada was in a mood, right? And he said, we are fanatics, so what? Another time, somebody said, Prabhupada, they say the devotees are proud because devotees were going out, and some of you, I'm sure, had experienced that. You would go out and start smashing the demons, right? And get someone and argue back and forth. I don't know. I used to do that wrongly. And somebody said, Prabhupada, devotees say that we are, people say that we are proud. And Prabhupada says, yes, we are proud. We're proud of being servants of Krishna. What's the problem? Sometimes Prabhupada would say things like that. So, but the point is that Krishna is proud of his devotees, loving him so in a fixed up way, so committed, so devoted. Krishna is amazed of his devotees. Did you find it? 922, that's it, not 572. Ananyas chintayanto mam jayana parupashate. Tesham means for them. 2 times. Krishna uses that word in the Chatushlokis of the Gita. Tesham, what's that? Tesham nitya bijuktanam. Those who are bijuktanam, very, very committed. Yogashamam bahamyaham. And there is a whole pastime, I won't go into that pastime, about one of the acharyas, was Arjuna Acharya. They're the one who changed the bahamyaham, the one that crossed. Yeah? There's a whole pastime. Prabhupada tells that pastime. But we don't have time for that one. So, here there are 4 paragraphs. It's another interesting thing that we can learn when we are studying Prabhupada's books scrutinizingly. The purpose, just like in the treasure hunt, Easter just passed, and the kids, traditionally, they go and look for chocolates and things like that, right? So this is the treasure hunt that we have. This is our call of action. This is our task, our homework, to look for that matchless gift. The matchless gift is here in the purpose of Prabhupada. So we have to read them in association. Satam prashamgam mama virya samvido. And Krishna explains this to Arjuna. And another task for those who are interested in studying Srila Prabhupada's books scrutinizingly is to look for the word guhyam. Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam, right? 9.2, correct? Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam. The secret of all secrets is this. And he says that several times. He says it in chapter 18, he says it in other places. There's a secret, but it's like telling you, go and look for something, those games, like for the kids in Easter and all, bunny hunt or whatever they call. And I tell you, there is something hidden down there, down under that cushion. That's obvious, right? It's there. I'm telling you, it's there. So Krishna is saying, this is guhyam, but he's saying it. If it's guhyam, you don't say it. Is that correct? So the guhyam, the characteristic of secret, it's, as it is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita, broken. Like sometimes we have these storerooms, some lockers, or almirah, as they call it in India. And almirah is like a personality. It's a big, what do you call those? Cupboard or some metal thing, almost speaks because it's there for years. Sometimes when living in Mayapur, we have been given, I remember once the Namahata department gave us an office to use and had this almirah, a couple of them, and chains and things like that, and we couldn't use it. So finally we were able to find the key and they opened it. There was like so many things, it looks like documents from Lord Chaitanya's era. It's like so dusty and you can smell the mold. But some of us Westerners, we were cleaning and we were smelling it like, and one brahmacharya was there, Bengali brahmacharya, he was looking at us like, Amni pagla, you are crazy, you're crazy people. Because we're so romantic about the things from India. So yes, that's the idea, that Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, they have broken the lock of this storeroom of love of Godhead. Srila Prabhupada opened that matchless gift storefront, tiny storefront with a little room at the back, up the stairs, and that's where everything started. It's a tiny thing. It's maybe, I don't know how many times, it's what, maybe 1/4 or so of this temple room? It's small, it's really, really small. And when you stand in front of that place, you think, wow, it's like amazing what Prabhupada came to offer, and he was able to achieve. He was able to give to so many devotees that, and maybe many, many, many more, that we are trying to achieve that. We haven't achieved it, but we can get a glimpse, a glimmer, like that something is there. And because something is there, just that aroma is like sometimes you may walk by and there is a beautiful aroma when Garuda Prabhu is cooking or others like that, and you have to control yourself. Oh, you have to put like the handbrake. What is it? A pizza or lasagna or some cakes, Mother Radha when they cook like that, or when Prabhu cooks the burfis, and you can already sense that something is there, and you have to, okay, Krishna first. But you're already inspired, enthused about what's coming. So some of us, we are just having a bit of a glimmer of what's coming. And this is what's coming. The gift will be given by the spiritual master, by other Vaishnavas, by the deities, by the holy name. And in this case, that's the context, by Karama Muni to the Devahuti. That's the matchless gift. Very interesting how Prabhupada finishes this purport, or actually in reference to the verse. He says, and the third line I think is what I thought was the most telling line of all the 4 lines of the verse. Siddhasi. Siddha means perfect. Siddhasi. Bhungshva. Bhungshva means like bhunjate jate. Yeah? So enjoy. Like, right? You are served, and then you say, now enjoy. Help yourself. Go for it. Huh? Vivavan. Vivavan means gift. And Prabhupada called these 3 words together, because the dash there, that means that it's a compound word. Nija Dharma Dohan. Nija Dharma Dohan refers to what you have achieved because of your devotion. Because of your devotion, you have achieved this gift, this matchless gift, pure love of God. Right? Now enjoy it. Now the interesting thing, if we can dig a little deeper, is that if we fast forward the pastime, Kapila Dev will appear as the son of Devahuti, correct? And he will instruct, meaning Kapila Dev will instruct Devahuti, right? And in the Nectar of Devotion, we find many, many quotes from Prabhupada referring to that conversation between Kapila Dev and Devahuti, talking about pure devotional service. That's there. So, we could say that why Devahuti didn't wait for Kapila Dev to give her the gift? Yeah, we could say like that. Why does he have to take it from this bothering husband? Like sometimes wife may think like that, or vice versa. Goes both ways. But no, she took it from him. I mean, he gave it to her. He says, enjoy it. Why did he say that? Because you already have it. What's the last line of 434? Gyaninas tattva darshina. Gyaninas tattva darshina. One can show you something that he or she had already seen. Is that correct? Come, I'll take you here. I'll take you to that place. I take you to that river, to that pond, to that hill, because I have been there already. Isn't it better when you go to India or when you go somewhere that you go with someone that knows the place? Come, I'll take you. I know how to deal with the rickshawalas and everybody else trying to cheat you, right? I know how to, Prabhupada used to do that. She is taking this gift from the representative of Krishna in front of her. That's what it is. And he knows, and that's why Srila Prabhupada coined that term, shall we say, although it's used sporadically here and there in our line, Founder Acharya, right? Founder Acharya means Prabhupada knew that he had a role to play. And the founder Acharya of ISKCON, he knew, and there is a book, free download PDF written by Ravindra Swarup Prabhu, Founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada Founder Acharya, download it. And there it is explained that Prabhupada knew what he came to do. He came to, on behalf of the parampara, give this matchless gift to everybody. He knew, right? And, can we say it? Privately he said, none of my God brothers knew how to do it, but I did. Of course, he doesn't take personal credit. He said, because I had full faith in the words of my spiritual master. And that's why so many wonderful things are happening. Even him was surprised of the speed at which this movement expanded. And he says many times, like wildfire. Wildfire means that you just not, okay, let's put some fire here. No, wildfire just goes. Here in Australia we know about bushfires. So this is how this process works. We have to take it from somebody who has it and then faithfully serve that person with 4 characteristics. Anybody remembers the 4 things with which the Bahuti serve Kardama Muni? Is there? Sincerity, love, affection, and service. Those are the 4 things. Sincerity, love, affection, and service. That was the attitude that she had with her husband, or the representative of Krishna in front of her. Right? Okay. Any points? I don't think we have much time, but if anything, Prabhu, please.
Defines arta very generally as that which is valuable.
If that which is?
That which is valuable.
Valuable.
Generally. So the opposite of arta, as we know, is anatta. And unfortunately, like in my heart, I have so many anattas. All these things I've been clinging onto that ultimately have no value. So you've been pointing out today, like, to actually go for that which is valuable.
Right. But there are good news, because we often say, we have so many anarthas. I learned this from Ravindra Swarup in one of his seminars. He says, you don't have enough anarthas, not you, not any of us, and not even collectively. Not enough anarthas that are not able to be destroyed by the power of the chanting of the holy name. That's what he says. It doesn't matter how many anarthas we have, not enough. Lord Chaitanya's mood is, not enough. You chant purely once, he says, purely once, and that's it. Game over. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanandi.